Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we are of course going to be talking about how to manage your money as a teacher during the time of COVID-19 that we are now right in the thick of. Today we're going to be covering how to find out what you need to know about how your paycheck is going to be affected, and we're also going to talk about using our time and space to get our financial lives together during this pandemic. We'll also be covering budgeting basics, how to make a budget for this time, and of course what we need to be thinking of in terms of our investments during all of the crazy up and downs that the stock market is going through as a result of coronavirus. So obviously the very first matter of priority is understanding how exactly your paycheck will be affected. The best source to look at to figure this out will be your contract. Obviously, COVID-19 is a situation that's pretty much unprecedented in the history of a lot of school systems. So you need to figure out how your school system is classifying these days. So for example, I went and looked at my contract and saw all the leave situations and looked for how I thought this situation would be classified, and I believed it would be classified under emergency leave, and fortunately that was something that was verified by our district. So we will be receiving a normal paycheck during this time. Something that's really great about working as a teacher is that unlike a lot of businesses that need to be open to make a profit in order to pay employees, teaching is not that way in the public school system because we are paid for by taxpayer dollars. So just because schools are not open, whether or not teachers are working virtually, it does not mean that the money is not there to pay us, theoretically. Obviously, our school systems are pretty underfunded, and if you don't have an awesome union, your school system could do some shady stuff to you. So it's very important that if you cannot figure out via your contract, or you cannot find access to your contract for whatever reason, that you ask leadership in your school or district to figure out how these days are being classified and whether or not you will be compensated at a normal pay or at an adjusted rate of pay. A great person to ask for this is if you have a building rep for your union. They will understand a little bit more and have the ear of people to know what's going on, or your direct supervisor. The next thing you need to figure out is about your stipends if you are in any sort of stipended position. In my case, I was coaching spring sport before our school shut down for 2 weeks as a result of COVID-19. And so I currently do not know what is going to happen with my stipend for coaching, if I will receive that. We don't know if the season will even happen as a result of everything that's going on. And in the case that the season doesn't happen, there's a good chance I may not be compensated fully for the work that I was intended to do, but may not end up actually doing. So make sure if you have a stipend in position that you know whether or not you will actually be receiving that money. In my case, I was going to use that money as part of my summer payment, which now means I have to adjust my plan for summer in the case that I will not be receiving my full stipend or any of it. So those are the very basic first things you need to figure out during this time. Now I want to talk to you about how you can use this time and space as an opportunity to get your financial life together, because you may not have another time where you are at home for this many hours, and also another time where it is actually so much more important to make sure you know what's going on with your money. Firstly, if you are doing remote learning, just be aware that obviously a lot of people on Teachers Pay Teachers are putting out resources for free right now, because a lot of school districts are moving to distance learning. So check that out. I've seen so many people post on Instagram about it, and I will be linking some resources in my personal Instagram. Make sure that you know where to get these resources, because they can be so helpful for you in terms of your planning, especially if you haven't done any kind of online learning before. But whether you're working remotely or not, now is an awesome time to get your financial life together. Your first step for this is to make a budget. I'm going to recommend during this time to make a budget for a normal month, as if you were being paid typically, and then think about how you would adjust it during this time. So in order to make your first budget, I'm going to link my budgeting templates below. I have an online spreadsheet version and a printable version for whatever you prefer. I'm also going to link in my budgeting basics video, which will take you through step by step how to navigate this process, and it also gives you more resources other than just my templates. Once you've created your first ever budget for a typical month, think about how your plans need to change for COVID-19. So here are some questions to ask yourself and ask leaders in your school if you don't know the answers. Number 1, will I be receiving a normal paycheck? Number 2, will I get my expected stipends? And then finally, you're going to ask yourself how you need to adjust your budget for these factors. For example, do you need to add extra money for groceries in March in the case that you may have to quarantine? Do you need to focus less money on non-essentials in favor of groceries or saving for this emergency that we are currently in? Consider whether or not you may have to replace some of your normal paycheck. If that's the case, you may want to move money from non-essential spending to a savings account in order to cover this. And then something I want to talk about briefly is resisting the urge to online shop during this time. It sounds so ridiculous because obviously we're in a national emergency, but it's a time of such anxiety and also such sedentary living. Like for me personally, right now, we are not doing distance learning. We are just completely closed for my school. So I literally cannot do anything for my normal work because I don't know when we're opening again. I don't know what we're going to be required to teach and what might be cut out of the curriculum. So because of that, I really can't make any progress on my normal teaching workload. And so I'm left kind of not doing much, especially considering obviously I'm not being very social during this time. And something that I do when I'm anxious or bored, which now is a time of both of those feelings for sure, is I online shop. Now, I often just online window shop. I don't normally buy things because I just like to resist that urge as a minimalist and somebody who doesn't like spending money on non-essentials. But even as a personal finance writer and a minimalist, I have been extremely tempted during this time. And in fact, I did actually buy a shirt online while self-isolating. So I know that if I am being tempted right now to purchase things, that it's very likely that other people will be feeling tempted as well. And I would just like to say to resist that urge, because I spent money on a shirt, which is fine. It was in my budget. But could I have put that money that was originally budgeted for miscellaneous into my savings account in the case that I won't receive my full stipend? Yes. Should I have done that? Yes. Did I do that? No. So do as I say and not as I do, and try to resist that urge as much as possible, because you do not know how much money you will be needing to have saved in the future. And finally, we need to talk about investments during this time period. Now, I need to preface by saying that I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm giving generalized advice, and if you need advice on your particular situation, you should speak to a financial professional. I'm going to be talking about advice based on trends at large in the stock market over time. So, as you probably have noticed if you've been watching any financial media or news, or if you have checked your investments, the stock market is facing a very, very huge dip right now. People are losing money in their investments, right? The value of your dollar in your investment has gone way, way down. What I want to say about this is that for the majority of people, we can afford to wait this out. You are investing for the long term, so short-term drops in the market have plenty of time to be completely made up for over the course of time. There was a really good infographic that was on the Instagram Personal Finance Club that I'll try to show here, but if not, I'll link it below, that described the stock market as yo-yoing while you're going up the stairs. So even though the yo-yo is going up and down, you're going up the stairs over time and everything is trending up. And that is what we see when we look at graphs of the stock market. You'll see it go up and down, up and down, but with the general trend upward, which means that you are making money on your investments in the long term, even though at certain moments of time, your investments may not be valued as highly. Another thing to note is that every loss from market downturns in history, which includes the Great Depression and includes the crash of 2008, have been completely restored over time. So those people who kept their money in the market were able to recover, and those who took their money out just faced those immediate losses. So, especially for people who, like me, are young and are many years out from retirement, keep in mind you're investing for the long term. Do not take your money out of your 401ks, or I guess in our case 403bs if you're a teacher, or any individual retirement accounts you have, because you have time to make up for the losses that are happening right now. If you will be tempted to take your money out as a result of seeing it go way down, do not check your investment accounts. I'm going to be posting a net worth update video at the end of March, so you're going to see how much my investments have gone down. So you can watch that to see a really good example of exactly how much money people could be losing. But if it's going to stress you out to look at your own investments, and if you will at all be tempted to take your money out as a result of that, I would not even check them if I were you, okay? And as always, you guys, just remember to take care of yourselves in this time, whatever that means for you. Make sure you are exercising, not just because it is a good time to exercise because you finally have the time and space to do so, but because in all likelihood, you're probably very sedentary right now. I know I'm sitting on my butt a lot these days because I'm not really going outside very much. So it's very important to prioritize moving your body every single day. In addition to that, just stay safe. Stay calm, do what you need to do to take care of yourselves and your family. It's a great time to figure out your financial lives, but it's also a time of a lot of uncertainty, where all you can do is make plans and hope that you've made the plans to cover for different situations. It's such an unprecedented time. Nobody knows exactly what to do. All you can do is stockpile money and make sure you're prepared for the worst case scenarios. Thank you so much for joining me on the channel. I hope this was helpful. Please put any questions down below so that I can hopefully answer those for you. Make sure to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more content that is focused specifically on how to manage your money as a teacher.